Aloha. I just want to do a quick review on the current USA loop system. I've been in the saltwater hobby for about 10 years now. This is my 5th tank. I've used the current USA light fixtures on other systems. I've also gone to other lights such as AI primes and whatnot. But for this tank, I chose the current USA loop system. And I can talk about that later on as to why I chose it. But here, you from this angle, you can't even really see the light fixture itself. And that was one of my big draws to it, is how low profile it is. It's a very, I'll call it a user-friendly system. Here, it's on the app on an iPad. So this is the loop. And I simply named the tank 55-gallon tank for the purposes of this video. And you can see when the app comes up, it looks like a weather app. There's nothing much to it at all. 78.8 degrees in the tank. Sunrise and sunset. I just set the sunset time, but I only did it to put something in here for this video. Normally this is running on my phone, however, it's only going to run via Bluetooth. Bluetooth only runs within proximity, and when I'm at home relaxing, I tend to be on the iPad more than I am on the phone. So it made more sense to put it on the iPad. For the 55-gallon, I put the 48-inch fixture on there, and I'll actually bring the camera up in a second and go through the different fixtures and whatnot. It works well here. Now, I did not buy a consolidated system. If you go onto Current USA's website, you can buy the Orbit Marine IC Pro, which comes with 2 light fixtures and the loop, Bluetooth controller, and dual e-flux pumps. I bought the e-flux pumps separately, and I'll show you my e-flux pumps here in a bit. And I bought the light with the loop controller, the Bluetooth module, and I spent way less than the package as a whole. I think I ended up spending $250 when all was said and done. There were a bunch of sales going on, plus I had a little bit of credit built up with one of the companies. I actually got, like, I'll say frequent buyer miles or whatever you want to call them. But so using points or whatever, plus the sales, I was able to get the whole system for roughly $250. So for this tank, it made perfect sense, and it works in this room. So without further ado, I will get into the tank. So here is the top of the tank, and you can see that 48-inch light fixture going across the top, and you can see how amazingly low profile that is. It's very, very slim, and it is right on there. You can kind of see there's not really a big gap there. So if you're somebody who doesn't want a lot of light spilling into your room, this really helps with that. There's only one connection coming out, and it's right there. Now I'll lift the light up, but this is going to be blindingly bright, but that's what it looks like. Nothing super fancy, but it does get the job done. 48-inch fixture on a 48-inch tank. Now these legs actually do pull out, so I could use it on a 60 as well. Just decided not to. I wanted a 48-inch fixture on a 48-inch tank. Next comes the pumps, or the e-flux pumps. You can see one there. And let's scoot over here. And you can see the other. Now they pivot. We'll get on this side, we'll get closer to this guy here, so you can kind of see it's magnetically held in place behind here, right up here. There's a magnet on the other side, and this swivels, so I can aim it up and then I can pivot it. And both do that. And you can control that via the app, just like you can the lights, which I'll actually show here in a few minutes. Very easy to mount though. I may play with where they're mounted in this tank. Haven't really decided yet if that's what I'm gonna do. And as I come down here, let's turn on the light so we can see a little better. There is the Bluetooth controller, which is kind of the heart of the loop system. Now this top connection here goes to the light fixture up top. And this is the power supply to the light itself. So the power supply plugs into the Bluetooth controller. The Bluetooth controller then allows you to plug in the light fixture itself for total control. This connection here is actually your temperature monitor, which is right there. It plugs right in and gives you temperature readout in the tank. You can't control your temperature, but you can get alerts if it gets too hot or too cold in the tank, but only when you're within 30 to 40 feet of the Bluetooth controller. This is a speaker level output. Now that actually allows you to do some cool things. Here you have actually a second output for a light, so you can do dual light fixtures or 2 light fixtures on a single tank, and there's a spot over here to plug in the other power supply for a light. Right here is a spot for another fixture or another pump, so you can have 3 power heads in the tank simultaneously. And you can also over here plug in another one, so you can see that third connection there. Now the loop does allow you to control DC pumps, like a return pump as well. And down here you can kind of see that's the E-flux power supply is here. The LED is there, but that's the LED power supply over there. So you need this E-flux and you need this plugged in to come in from there. And that's about it for the loop. Once you set that up, you have the system up and running. So there's really not a whole lot to hooking it up and putting it in place. And that's what it kind of looks like when you turn the lights out. And we'll close the door and we'll come back up here. And I just moved my iPad up onto a little bit of a tank there. You can see it on that ledge of the tank stand itself, excuse me. So I could show you the app with the software running. So if you were to bring this up, you can go back to menu. There's our main menu. You add a new tank down here when you're first doing your setup. So cancel, go to our loop, and here we are. Now one of the cool things is it almost looks like your normal weather app for looking at any kind of weather conditions in your area. You can go into the settings themselves. You can reset the whole system. Temperature is where you actually turn on and off temperature, minimum and maximum degrees Fahrenheit. If you want to update software, there's their terms of service. You can actually get a hold of them for assistance and whatnot. But if you actually want to program the light itself, if you go to sunrise, that's what your sunrise is going to be, and then it's going to ramp up until it gets to daylight, and that's what daylight's going to look like. And you can set all of these. These are actually configurable by the user. And we're over here at sunrise. And daylight, then sunset, then moonlight. And it follows a ramp timer almost, so you've got to ramp up from sunrise to daylight, and then from sunset to moonlight, and then it goes off. You can also get into custom colors. Down here, weather forecast. If you want to turn on weather and just want to have random things happen, random rolling clouds, 50%, boom. So when I go back to your weather forecast now says there's a 50% chance of random rolling clouds. So it may or may not happen. But then we get down to here, and if I want to see those random rolling clouds, I click it right there. And this is what that would look like. And here's where the speakers come in. So down here, you see just they're cheesy speakers, nothing fancy, but they're plugged in there on the left-hand side, right in the middle. So So when you start using some of these fancy features, you can get like ambient sound in the room. And here you can kind of see, hear in the background the sound of the tide coming in, just the sound of the ocean. I'll open this a little so you can actually hear it a little more. Even some seagulls going in the background there. Then we can get over here. Back off a little, maybe we'll, there you go. So we've got that thunder and lightning. You can hear the thunder. And then let's go here. Zoom out a little. So now you're going to hear a lot of rain coming in. It's a little bit more stormy. And we can go down to here. And I apologize for not going through each individual mode and giving you the current USA correct name. I'll be honest, I haven't really been reading the instruction manual so much as I've just been playing around. This is kind of a pretty cool relaxing mode. If you just have this on as ambient in the background, and it just kind of relaxes you while you're looking at your tank. There's a different mode right there. There's also a feed mode, which is right under M. Kind of see it right there. Here's just going to be the sun poking through clouds, kind of like an overcast day, but the sun will be coming out every so often. There it comes right there on the left. And you get the soothing sounds of music with your fish tank. So some cool stuff to play with, and I'll be the first to fully admit that's probably very gimmicky, but I kind of like it. But if you go under program, and let's say you actually want to get into doing stuff with your pumps. Now I showed you on the lights, you can actually control your color spectrum and when things come on and off. But if you want to get into your pumps, here's everything that you can do with the pump. So right now, wave pump 1, wave pump 2 are the ones that are in the tank, and they are set to stream mode at 100%. But if I want to change that, I can turn them on to wave, I can turn them on to surge, or I could have them at stream. And there's also a night mode. And again, you can, from here, you don't even have to go back to the main menu. 3. Now I do not have DC flow pumps right now, so I'm going to turn those off because I just don't have them. But that's pretty much it in a nutshell. That is the current USA system. I've been pretty happy with it so far. And when I mentioned how well it works for me in my room, right here you can kind of see how high off this is. It's not very high at all. There's a television. I don't know if you can see it in the reflection here. Yeah, you can kind of see it. I'll try to point it out here. It's right here in the background. It's mounted on the wall. It's underneath that picture there. And one of the problems I have is if I have dangling lights from there, there's going to be a lot of glare coming off into that television. So by having the light directly on top of the tank with a very low profile, there's no glare here, because my lights would be here about 8 to 10 inches above the water. There's no glare high up of lights just protruding into the room. The lights project directly into the water. They diffuse into the tank per se, and it is a little bit subtle on the television, but it's definitely not as pronounced as it would be if it were, you know, dangling there. So it's very much more useful in this room this way. I'm really happy with how these lights turned out on the tank, and the fact that I have my power heads and my light in a combined system that's really easy to control. Didn't cost me an arm and a leg, and it all just kind of works together. And these are new frags, but that one right there is doing really well with these lights. He's literally increased at least 20 to 25% in size since I got him. And this guy here has just been phenomenal. He's opening up more and more every day, I swear. So good things happening in the tank. Pretty happy so far with everything I'm seeing. The lights are doing decently for me. Now, I definitely don't think these lights would work well for like anything other than soft coral. So if you're going and you're trying to grow something that's hard to grow, I definitely would not recommend these lights. But this for me is like a very casual, enjoyable tank, just hanging out, where my daughter and I can relax and just enjoy the tank. So the lights really work well for our situation. Now, if you have any questions on the current USA light, I'll try to answer them. You know, thanks for watching, and just, you know, throw them below. You know, questions, comments, concerns, and, you know, happy reef keeping. Hope everybody's enjoying their tanks.